Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Mary Ashley. I'm an executive coach to high capacity women, especially working moms who want to be present at home and succeed at work. Not just survive both, but do both really, really well. One thing I've vowed not to do at the top of this episode is spend 8 minutes telling you how excited I am that you're here, even though I am, or how long I've wanted to do this, even though I have. Because if you're listening, you're either my mom, hi mom, or you're a working mom with a lot on your plate and you have exactly 0 seconds in the day to dilly-dally. In fact, you are probably already listening to this on 1.5 speed. So let's get to it. I want these episodes to be short, digestible, enjoyable, packed with practical coaching and clarity, with maybe a laugh or a swift kick in the pants when you need it. So I started my coaching business a few years ago after almost a decade of helping lead and develop young leaders inside a top performing Chick-fil-A organization. When I got started as a professional coach, I figured I would coach 20-somethings, the people that I had worked with the last 8 or 9 years, really to help them figure out who they were and where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do when they grew up. I ran discovery calls and had some great conversations, and they just didn't really want to move forward. But a different group of people kept leaning into what I was doing, and that was real adult human women, high capacity, high achieving, high performing women, especially moms who were sitting at a crossroads, women who had climbed, achieved, been promoted, and somewhere along the way found themselves whispering, I don't even recognize myself anymore. And maybe that's you. Maybe you find yourself thinking, I'm proud of my career, but I feel like I'm losing. I have so much responsibility and everything I wanted. I have the house and the kids and the husband, and the job. So why do I still feel unclear or stuck? I don't even know what I like anymore or what I'm good at. I don't know if who I am is who I want to be or who I think everyone else expects me to be. It feels like I'm running a race with no finish line. If you find yourself saying this, odds are you're not an average woman. You're probably the go-to woman in most of your circles, and you are missing something critical, which is any kind of operating system to create a life you actually want. What I started seeing over and over again, the more I coached, were these high capacity working women, very Enneagram 3 energy. You love to work, you're good at it, and you want to keep growing and progressing. And you also want to be deeply present at home. You might already have kids. You might be values driven and you want to be a mom down the road and you can already see the future collision coming. You're flying at 100 miles per hour. And the question becomes, how does this change when I have kids? Can I actually do both without losing myself or my mind in the process? And part of the challenge, I think, that we as high capacity, high performing women have is that we haven't really seen this modeled for us, right? A lot of our moms maybe stayed home. My mom was a teacher and she worked hard and she loved to work, but she had summers off. We haven't necessarily seen a woman in a big leadership position or climbing a corporate ladder. Definitely not building companies or leading large teams or being in board meetings with stakeholders while raising a family, right? In the boardroom and then chasing home for the card pool. So many of us just never saw a clear picture of a present mom and a powerful leader. There is really no blueprint for this. There's no language for success here that we have. So cue the mom guilt. My kids are only young once, right? Cue the comparison. Everyone else seems to be doing it better. Cue the tension. I feel pulled between two worlds that I desperately want to be a part of. And yet you love to work and you don't want to quit or shrink. And you don't want to be home full time. You want to contribute to climb. So the question becomes, how do you do that while also really valuing the time that you have with your kids? Underneath it all, what these women, myself, maybe you, lack was this renewed clarity on who you are, and then a framework for how to organize and structure your life around those values and what is most important to you. Because as high capacity as you are, you do still have a capacity and you have to steward it well. And in order to steward it well, you have to know what you actually have in front of you to manage. That is when it has clicked for me that the same practices, the same systems and strategies that make a Chick-fil-A organization run remarkably well can also be applied to the lives of high capacity women. So I've spent the last 10 years working alongside a top performing Chick-fil-A operator. He runs multiple restaurants, which is a big deal in Chick-fil-A world, and has pretty much every sales channel that Chick-fil-A offers, right? Drive-through, carry out, curbside, catering. I mean, he has all the gizmos and gadgets aplenty. And we're talking a lot of revenue. He's a brilliant businessman. He's a charismatic leader, a true visionary, and the way he has structured his organization, this giant Chick-fil-A organization, over multiple restaurants is not that far off from how we can structure our lives and see remarkable results. I'll absolutely have him on the podcast at some point because, yes, he's my boss, but he's also been an incredible mentor, really just a friend of our family. But the framework that he has built his business on is what has inspired the framework I coach with today. So here's where we start. We have to start with a firm foundation. You have to get extremely clear on who you are, your identity. That means your purpose, your vision, your values, your mission. Without that, you are basically driving somewhere you have never been without putting an address in the GPS. Or if you're like me and you're a psychopath, we're still using Apple Maps. But I will literally type in an address to go across town because clarity saves time. It's the same with your life. If you don't set the destination, you will waste fuel and end up frustrated, and no one wins when that happens. You can set all the goals you want, but if you're not rooted in your identity, if those goals aren't rooted in your identity, they're not going to stick. They're not going to stick when things get hard because they will. Or you might set those goals and get there and realize you're standing on a mountaintop you never actually wanted to be on. A lot of high capacity women already know these identity pieces. It's not that you don't have values or purpose. It's just that you've never maybe externalized them, or maybe it's been a while. Maybe you've had a lot of life change since then. Maybe you've climbed a few rungs up the ladder, had a couple kids, maybe both. So we pull them out, we put them on paper, and we put them where you can see them every day, because that becomes a decision filter for your life. And that alone changes everything. We then move from a firm foundation to organizational structure, right? So basically your roles. In the restaurant, in the Chick-fil-A restaurant, we don't just say manager. We have a day front, a night back, catering, drive-through, right? Clear roles create coverage. And in your life, it's the same. You're a Christ follower, you're a wife, a mom, a business owner, a leader, a friend. And when you name those roles, you get to decide what great looks like in each of them. And when you do that, your days start to order themselves and get a lot more clear. Once your roles are clear, we build systems, simple rhythms that support who you actually want to be in those roles. In the restaurant, managers have open and close checklists. Every few hours, they take temperatures of the food. There's food safety, quality checks. There's 2 pickles on the Chick-fil-A sandwich, and they are side by side, not on top of each other. They're dating, not mating. It's a big thing. So there are systems that inform excellent performance. And in your life, rhythms are the same thing. Weekly planning, a Sunday calendar sync, phones docked somewhere where you can get to it by 8:30. No meetings after 3 on kid pickup day, right? A dinner game plan. One small rhythm per role changes the whole feel of your week. And then there's the part that everyone wants to skip: professional management. I want to skip it sometimes. It's discipline. It's accountability. It's doing the things you said you were going to do. Restaurants need a college graduate level professional manager to pull it all together. These specific Chick-fil-A restaurants need that. I'll never forget being in the restaurant one day and a guest coming up and being shocked that the person leading the shift was a college graduate from the University of Georgia. But these restaurants are so busy, they do so much volume, they're so complex. You have to have that kind of professional management in order to have the experience that you expect. In your life, you are the professional manager of you. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits, how you're always casting votes for the kind of person that you are. And people love to ask the question, how long until something is automatic, right? When I'm building these habits, at what point does like my body just take over and go work out even when I don't want to? And the answer is it's always a choice. It never becomes automatic. You're always deciding and casting a vote for who you are. And the identity piece that we start with makes that choice simpler, but you still have to choose. And that is where a coach is even more valuable. Hey, did you do the thing? You didn't. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's fix the friction. What is holding you back from being the person that you have said you want to be? And now let me back up because this is important. For a long time, I thought the issue was just a systems problem. And a lot of coaches have systems and similar systems and frameworks. But underneath the missed deadlines or the scattered calendars or the doom scroll at night because your brain just can't shut off, it's something deeper. And I realize it's identity. It's women wondering who they had become and who they were becoming. It's being disconnected from what you value. It's measuring your worth by productivity and performance and losing yourself in all the roles that you are trying to hold together. High capacity women rarely slow down long enough to ask, who am I becoming? We just keep building, right? We just keep doing the thing. But if your identity isn't rooted, you're building on sand. That is when urgency hijacks what's meaningful and is often what's costing you by you being so exhausted. You're snapping at your kids instead of enjoying the time you do have with them, or you doubt your decisions because you don't know if you're saying yes because you want to or because you feel like you have to. So yes, systems, absolutely all day. But first, an anchor, a rooted identity. And when we get that foundation back, who you are, what you value, what you're actually building toward, everything else starts to align. Systems stick because they serve something that matters to you. Goals make sense, and your life starts to feel like something you've always wanted it to be. This is where my Align framework lives. It's not just a cute acronym, but it is. But it's also a way to lead your life on purpose. We anchor our mindset. We lead from a rooted identity. We inventory what matters, our responsibilities and our roles. We ground our rhythms in our values, and we navigate what's next with aligned action. It's not hustle culture. It's not Pinterest perfect. It's kind of boring on purpose because boring is repeatable, and repeatable changes your life. So I want to say this out loud because someone needs to hear it. You don't need a bubble bath. Actually, you might. But what you really need is a system. You don't need to become a different person. You need to become you on purpose. You don't need balance because that word is loaded. You need peace and momentum at the same time. Peace comes from identity. Momentum comes from aligned action. Both are built, not happened upon. Also, a quick confession so that you know the energy I'm coaching from. I do not coach from the mountaintop. I coach from the messy middle. I am here with you. I'm in it too. I am a high capacity, high performing woman, and I am building a business with 3 little kids. I have a 6-year-old, I have a 4-year-old, and a 12-week-old. I get it. I get what it feels like to desperately want to build something that matters and also build little people that know they matter. These systems are the same ones I am using to lead my life. When we put our address in, right? Our purpose, our values, our vision, we stop guessing. Our week stops owning us. And the two pickles and the sandwich, that's my reminder that standards matter. Little standards that I set for myself, like putting my phone in my room when I'm home with my kids so that they have my full attention, not taking meetings after 3 o'clock. I don't coach after 3 on most weekdays because I have kids to go get, and a 15-minute Sunday sync so that I can start my week with incredible peace. If you're achievement wired, kind of like I am, here's the trap. Measuring your worth by output. Identity work loosens that grip so you can work excellently without working anxiously. As a Christ follower, my rooted identity begins with who God says I am. That is my ground. And from there, I build. Your language might be different, but the need is the same to know who you are and what matters most, or the loudest thing will decide for you. So here is where we are headed together. We're going to talk through over the next couple episodes this framework layer by layer so you can see what we do inside the aligned action framework. And we'll talk about identity and our roles and rhythms and our mindset, because that is that is the engine, the little engine that could. Success doesn't have to cost you your peace, and motherhood doesn't have to cost you your ambition. You don't have to choose between being a present woman and a powerful one. If you are ready to move from reactive to intentional, from scattered to clear, from exhausted to aligned, you are exactly where you need to be. And if you listened and thought, that is me, sign me up, great. Join the wait list for my aligned action framework coaching. The link will be in the show notes or down below. I am so glad you're here. Let's get to work. See you in episode 2.